it was taking over to a point where I couldn't function even remotely, even at home. I really couldn't function. The compulsions were just spiraling out of control. They were just growing exponentially. They were just, it wasn't just like one compulsion. It was like started like one compulsion a day, then it was like two, then it was like four, then it was like eight, and it was just going from bad to worse. It was mainly just the obsessions, and then the compulsion in order to combat them took up time, a good amount of time, and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay home because, I didn't want anything to set the anxiety off.
I think when we realized, what, we it's out of our hands now. We can't control it anymore, and that's when we called Columbia, and we came here, and then just all I can say is that I believe they saved him because he was in a bad place.
I was skeptical because I did remember a couple, the two people who I saw around 5th grade and then a little later, because they hadn't helped me. But I think that was partially my fault because, I was having, the obsessions at that point. But, it's not something you want to say to somebody because, you think you think you're going crazy. It's not something you want to say, oh yeah, I'm having these thoughts that, I think make no sense, but I'm still having them, and they're scaring me, and they're making me have anxiety. So, so I kind of didn't want to open myself up to any of these people. When I went to see the psychiatrist who diagnosed me, I was having issues with germs and stuff. I wouldn't want to touch certain things. I felt they were contaminated. I had a mental ritual, which at the time I would do a couple times a day. I think maybe 4. I'm not sure. Depended. But it was something I did in order to make myself comfortable. It kind of covered any obsessions that I was having at the time. It was kind of a universal fix for anything I needed. The guy who diagnosed me was the first one to mention it, and he seemed to know what he was doing. We went there and we started asking a question. At first, it started out general. Did you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? And then he kind of just went for a beeline right for kind of OCD. He kind of knew right away. I feel putting a name, having an explanation, something, not just I'm going crazy, is great. It's a phenomenal relief because then you have a path. It's not just, okay, we don't know what's going on. It's, well, we can give you this medication, and there's these therapies, and this is a place you can go to, because that was just phenomenal. Once we started getting to treatment with the CBT, that was great. Tony, we made up the chart of what my least anxiety-causing symptom was to the most, and then we just worked through that list, and it just kind of went on its own. It just, each time I got rid of a compulsion, the next one was easier. And by the time I had the most severe compulsion down, it was just easier than the first one by that time. It was just really successful. Started little stuff at first. At first it was just, suddenly the compulsions. I didn't have to do them as much anymore. And then it just went from there. It just went from soon the obsessions were even themselves kind of retreating, and I didn't have to have so much obsessions all day. Now it's just even now there's bad time, but that's just going to come with the territory. So it really was just just getting my life back. That's really what the effect of this therapy was. It was just I didn't have to stay home. I didn't want to have to stay home from school. I didn't want to not have to do activities, because I had to worry about what if a compulsion or an obsession occurs. That was gone. Find a good doctor, and even if you find a doctor, make sure you find a doctor you feel comfortable talking with, because that's the whole thing. The other doctors, while they might have been good, I just didn't open up to them. I didn't connect. You need the right doctor, and then you need the right treatment. You have to they have to tell you what your options are, but you yourself need to say where you're at. And, even though it's hard, you still have to go for it. It's worth it.
This place, saved him. I don't know where he would have been. I think it probably would have got a lot worse. I mean, it's going to get worse before it gets better.